Robert Redford was one of the greatest names in modern Hollywood. The 89-year-old actor died early this morning at his home in Utah. That's according to his publicist.
Robert Redford's final goodbye should unite old friends, co-stars, and admirers. Yet one actor, once close to his world, will not walk into the room where memories shine. Their absence will speak louder than any tribute. Everyone will ask the same question as the cameras roll. What keeps this actor away from Redford's last goodbye? Let's find out. Number 8. Robert Dyro. In the glamorous world of Hollywood, where celebrities outshine any light, two names were once famous together: Robert Redford and Robert Dyro. They were thought of as equals, two huge figures whose talent shaped a period of American movies. Fans loved them, critics admired them, and people in the industry talked about how talented they were. However, behind the polished appearances and bright lights, a conflict was growing that would eventually break apart their friendship. In the beginning, they admired each other. Both men were highly respected for their work and had a powerful presence. However, the admiration eventually turned into tension, which then escalated into rivalry. Dyro, the main figure in this feud, was a talented performer but had a hot temper. Unlike Redford, who was calm and dignified, Dyro openly showed his emotions. He did not hold back, had no filter with his words, and did not care how his outbursts affected others. Public interviews were where the first signs of trouble started to show. Dyro was easily upset by even the slightest hint of disrespect. Just one pointed question from a reporter could set him off. At a press event, he reacted so strongly to being pushed that it made the audience uncomfortable. What surprised people the most wasn't just his anger, but the offensive language he used. He swore so aggressively, each word more cutting than the last. The cameras were rolling, the microphones caught every word, and his outburst left reputations trembling in its aftermath. At a big industry event, the conflict between Dyro and Redford intensified. Dyro started using offensive language and cursing in front of over 100 people, with cameras recording everything. Redford, sitting at the back, looked uncomfortable as he witnessed it all. To him, it wasn't just embarrassing, but a public breakdown of behavior that he couldn't condone. What was supposed to be a joyous occasion turned into a distressing experience. However, the final straw occurred at a private party. Despite Redford's calm and professional demeanor, when he made a gentle suggestion about the editing speed of a project they were working on, Dyro lost his temper. Dyro went off on a rant, hurling insults at Redford, criticizing his work ethic, and even making personal and inappropriate comments. The room fell quiet as Dyro's harsh words filled the air. Redford was stunned and embarrassed, standing motionless as Dyro continued to mock him. Without saying a word, Redford left the party, leaving behind the sound of Dyro's laughter ringing in his ears. Working on set was not a relaxing experience for the people involved. Dyro's co-workers remembered how he would go from being quiet and moody for hours to suddenly getting very upset over minor things. Unfortunately, Redford was usually the one who bore the brunt of Dyro's outbursts. It wasn't just his anger that bothered him, but also the constant use of foul language. Dyro would swear loudly behind the scenes, on set, and even during important media events. What were supposed to be professional meetings often turned into awkward and embarrassing situations. Redford couldn't handle the constant embarrassment he faced from Dyro. He told friends he did not want to be involved in Dyro's chaotic behavior. He made it clear by not inviting him to events, establishing a boundary. Dyro was not only hard to deal with, but also cast a shadow over Redford, ruining special moments. Their once promising relationship turned into a warning about how pride and anger can destroy respect and create long-lasting bitterness. Number 7. Tom Hanks. In Hollywood, talent, ambition, and ego often come into conflict. One of the surprising rivalries that have had an impact on its history is the feud between Robert Redford and Tom Hanks. Their relationship started with admiration but quickly turned into a bitter feud involving hurt pride, stolen ideas, and public embarrassment that both men will always remember. Robert Redford built a reputation as a respected figure in Hollywood over many years. He was known for his calm demeanor and rarely said anything negative about others. However, he made an exception for Tom Hanks. In the 1980s, the press started calling Hanks the new Redford, praising him as the fresh face of American cinema. Reporters enjoyed comparing the two actors, but Redford did not see the connection as valid. He privately rejected the idea and made it known that he did not appreciate being compared to Hanks. To him, Hanks was just a young actor riding on his coattails, and the comparison felt like an insult to the hard work he had put into building his legacy. In the early 2000s, a quiet tension turned into something more personal for Redford. He had been working on a film about Afghanistan for almost 10 years, and his office in Utah was filled with war maps and research notes as he devoted himself to the project. However, disaster struck when one of his screenwriters, who he had trusted for years, was revealed to be close friends with Tom Hanks. Soon after, Hanks announced a movie about the same subject that Redford had been working on for years. The news shocked Redford. All the time he spent getting ready seemed to fall apart suddenly. When the movie came out, it was very successful and was praised as a great Hollywood movie. For Redford, it wasn't just a setback in his career, it felt like a personal betrayal. He got angry and confronted Hanks, accusing him of stealing an idea that he had worked on for years. It wasn't just a disagreement about projects. To Redford, it was a painful moment when he realized that someone he used to admire could take something important to him and make it their success. However, the tension did not end. During a shoot in Los Angeles, Redford gave Hanks some advice, but instead of heeding it, Hanks responded with extreme anger. He angrily threw the script, causing pages to fly everywhere, and then left without a word. The crew was shocked as the director stopped filming abruptly. Redford, looking shaken, collected the pages quietly. This simple action spoke volumes more than any argument could have. Years later, at a film conference in New York in 2012, Redford advised filmmakers to remain neutral in politics and emphasize storytelling. Suddenly, Hanks got up from his front row seat, took the microphone, and declared that artists must take sides to avoid being irrelevant. The crowd was shocked. There were whispers, and then laughter erupted. Redford looked embarrassed and silenced while Hanks enjoyed the spotlight. Redford did not see Hanks as just a rival anymore. He viewed him as a symbol of arrogance and disloyalty. Redford promised to stay away from Hanks, claiming he never wanted to see him again, not even in death. In Hollywood, betrayal is usually masked by friendly gestures, but this feud exposed the hidden animosity beneath the glitz. Number 6. Brad Pitt. In 1992, Robert Redford chose to give a big opportunity to a young and unknown actor, Brad Pitt, by casting him in the movie A River Runs Through It. Redford believed in Pitt's talent and wanted to support him, similar to a father guiding his son. This decision was seen as a generous and risky move in Hollywood. Many thought it would create a strong bond between the established actor and his up-and-coming protege. However, what began as a promising relationship quickly turned into a narrative of conceit, tension, and profound letdown. Pitt's rapid and explosive ascent to stardom lacked gratitude, as he increasingly felt the need to demonstrate that his success was solely due to his efforts. During interviews, he rejected any insinuation that Redford had a role in his breakthrough. Pitt strongly opposed the notion of Redford being seen as a mentor and refused to consider it. He desired no connections, no mentor, no guidance to share in the recognition of his accomplishments. His words and demeanor were shocking to both the media and his supporters, portraying him as unappreciative and dismissive. Behind the scenes, things were not going well. As Brad Pitt became more famous, there were more reports of his irresponsible behavior. He started showing up late to film sets, making the crew wait for hours. One time in Montana was especially memorable. The crew was all ready to start shooting, but Pitt showed up almost 3 hours late, smelling like alcohol. Robert Redford, who is known for being calm and in control, finally got fed up. He insisted on discipline and made it clear that professionalism was more important than being a star. However, Pitt just smirked and walked away as if nothing was wrong. The mood on set turned icy, with everyone shocked by the young actor's defiance. Pitt's unfriendliness was not only evident at work, but also extended to his interactions with the media. He started to get into arguments with reporters, dodging questions about his personal life and abruptly cutting interviews short. There were instances when he left interviews abruptly, embarrassing journalists just trying to do their job. Things got tense when he nearly got physical with a reporter who pushed too hard for answers. The studio bosses had to intervene to prevent things from escalating further. Pitt openly confessed to using alcohol and marijuana, which painted a picture of a celebrity struggling with the pressures of fame in the public eye. Redford felt more than just professionally let down by the situation. It was personally heartbreaking for him. He had given advice and encouragement to a young actor he trusted, only to be treated disrespectfully and rejected. A mentoring relationship that started with hope turned into one of Redford's biggest career regrets. Redford ultimately expressed that Pitt was no longer wanted in his life. Their bond was too damaged to fix. The person Redford used to view as a spiritual son appeared to him as someone changed by fame and arrogance. The tale of Robert Redford and Brad Pitt in Hollywood serves as a warning. It shows that while talent can be impressive, one's character ultimately decides how long that talent will last. Number 5. Dustin Hoffman. Hollywood has always been fascinated by stories of strong friendships, but sometimes what appears flawless on screen conceals turmoil behind the scenes. One such intense rivalry was between Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman, two incredibly talented actors lauded for their remarkable performances. Their collaboration on the classic film All the President's Men was highly acclaimed and cherished by many. While they seemed like a formidable duo on screen, the reality off-camera was quite different. Their relationship was plagued with unresolved tension, envy, and resentment. Their bitterness towards each other had deep roots that existed even before they began working together. Back in 1967, Dustin Hoffman's life was forever changed by a movie called The Graduate. He achieved instant fame by portraying Benjamin Braddock, a role initially offered to Robert Redford. However, Redford was rejected due to his appearance being considered too good-looking for the character. This rejection turned out to be a career breakthrough for Hoffman, leaving Redford feeling envious. This decision marked the beginning of their animosity. Redford had to witness Hoffman's rapid rise to stardom while dealing with the disappointment of being turned down for the role. As time went by, the tension between them increased. Hoffman's increasing success appeared to worsen Redford's unspoken animosity. Hoffman often boasted about his accomplishments in public appearances, while Redford simply responded with a forced smile. While this behavior may have seemed harmless to outsiders, those close to them saw it as the start of a bitter rivalry. Hoffman's snide comments and subtle efforts to outshine Redford further fueled the conflict. He frequently tried to prevent Redford from being involved in certain projects, taking every opportunity to remind him of who had come out on top in their initial confrontation. In 1976, Redford and Hoffman worked together on the movie All the President's Men. Redford was not only the main actor but also the producer, giving him control over every aspect of the film. He used this power to make changes to the script, cut lines, and ask for multiple retakes to reach his desired level of excellence. Hoffman, known for his method acting and preference for spontaneity, felt restricted by Redford's meticulous approach. What started as a promising partnership turned into a tense conflict on set. During an important scene, the tension reached a breaking point. Redford insisted on doing multiple takes, making the crew do almost 40. Hoffman, tired and angry, angrily threw the script on the ground. Things got heated and they almost started fighting behind the scenes before the director intervened. Even though the incident was not reported in the press, everyone on set understood that Redford and Hoffman had a strong animosity towards each other. The movie was a big hit and won 4 Oscars. Instead of making them closer, the praise caused a rift between them. Journalists were curious about who should get the most credit. Redford said he was essential to the film's creation. Hoffman disagreed and said his acting was the film's heart. Redford was deeply hurt by Hoffman's comments. From then on, they never teamed up again. Public appearances made their rivalry even worse. At a Golden Globes event, Hoffman embarrassed Redford with a childish prank, showing that their animosity had become outright hostility. As time went on, their animosity solidified into something long-lasting. Redford later called Hoffman the most disagreeable person he had ever encountered, while Hoffman rejected Redford as someone he couldn't be friends with. Even after they had passed away, their anger still lingered. When Robert Redford passed away, Dustin Hoffman was intentionally excluded from the list of people allowed to go to the funeral. Number 4. George Clooney. Robert Redford and George Clooney were well known in Hollywood for their involvement in political cinema. Both men had significant influence and advocated for causes outside of the entertainment industry. However, their approaches differed. Redford focused on quietly making a difference through actions and support, while Clooney took a more public and confrontational approach. Over time, their mutual respect evolved into a noticeable rivalry. Redford focused on creating opportunities for young artists. He supported storytelling 040 to 049 through Sundance without making it a competition. He thought art should stand alone and that politics should be talked about respectfully. In contrast, Clooney became more confident as time went on. He used every chance, like cameras and award shows, to share his opinions and promote himself. At the Oscars, many celebrities typically express gratitude or admiration for the film industry, but Clooney often took a different approach. Instead of simply accepting his awards, he delivered speeches that sounded more like official speeches than casual thank yous. His speeches often contained political messages, which caught the attention of the American media. His behavior became predictable, with journalists making fun of him for sounding like a politician, making announcements from the White House instead of receiving an award on stage. This talent for drama did not just stop at award shows. Clooney became known for turning every entrance into a big event. When he attended parties, he would often show up fashionably late, making sure all attention was on him. He carried himself like a VIP, greeting people with graceful handshakes as if he were a diplomat. During dinner conversations, he would quickly start sharing tales of meeting world leaders and spending time with European royalty. His stories captured everyone's interest, leaving even famous Hollywood actors in his shadow. During a memorable evening, the tension between the two individuals became evident. At an awards ceremony, the host was about to introduce Robert Redford when George Clooney unexpectedly stood up and walked out under the bright lights of the cameras. All attention shifted from Redford to Clooney as he made his exit, drawing the focus of the audience, the media, and the headlines. The following day, the press reported that despite not winning any awards, Clooney had managed to steal the spotlight once again. Their disagreements came to a head in 2010 at a conference in New York about energy policy. Redford suggested having a peaceful conversation and working together, encouraging everyone to find areas of agreement. Clooney, on the other hand, reacted with anger, banging on the table and confronting Redford in front of a large crowd of surprised attendees. The argument became so intense that event organizers had to intervene to calm things down. Redford decided to leave quietly, not wanting to add to the drama. However, those who saw the exchange knew that a boundary had been crossed. The competition extended beyond public debates. Their charitable work behind the scenes also became a point of contention. Redford concentrated on environmental causes, heading a foundation funded by corporations. Meanwhile, Clooney oversaw a human rights fund that garnered a lot of media coverage. When both asked for donations from the same people, Clooney's celebrity status gave him an advantage. There were rumors that he used his contacts to overshadow Redford, who had difficulty maintaining his conservation initiatives. Redford's family felt very hurt by the betrayal. They thought Clooney had used Robert's name to advance his own career, only to then compete against him and support his rivals. The pain never went away. People close to the Redfords said that even after Robert's death, seeing Clooney at his funeral would not be a sign of respect, but a painful reminder of an ongoing rivalry. Two men initially worked together to influence Hollywood's political stance, but their partnership eventually turned into a tale of ambition and unspoken sorrow. Number 3. Jeff Bridges. In the glamorous Hollywood world, where elegance and charm are usually highlighted, there was a man who did not follow the usual rules of sophistication. Jeff Bridges, well liked for his relaxed personality, had a reputation that surprised even veteran celebrities. One of those bothered by his behavior was Robert Redford, a legend known for his love of organization and cleanliness. Their time working together led to one of the most memorable behind-the-scenes conflicts ever talked about in the industry. Robert Redford placed a high value on cleanliness, considering it as important as air to him. He saw it not just as a personal preference, but also as a way to show respect for the filmmaking process. Redford believed that every little aspect of a film, such as costumes and sets, deserved careful attention. On the other hand, Jeff Bridges had a completely different outlook. He seemed to reject the idea of being well-groomed altogether. While Redford always looked sharp and ready on set, Bridges often appeared in wrinkled and unkempt clothes. His shirts looked like they had been tossed on the floor, and he sometimes wore the same worn-out outfit day after day until it almost fell apart. The contrast between them was very obvious. Redford noticed every wrinkle, every spot, and every sign of carelessness. Bridges, on the other hand, seemed unfazed by it all. He had messy hair, clothes that smelled of sweat, and a relaxed smile that only irritated Redford more. Co-workers said he did not bathe or change his clothes for days. Some made jokes, others kept their distance. But for Redford, it was a serious issue. The smell, the appearance, the lack of cleanliness. It was too much for him to handle. During a production meeting, there was a lot of tension. Redford, who was sitting near Bridges, seemed to have trouble concentrating and suddenly left the room after pinching his nose. Those who were there remembered seeing a look of discomfort on his face and how he quickly left as if trying to avoid a conflict. The news quickly spread around the set. It was said that Bridges' scent was so strong that crew members had to spray perfume to make the air more tolerable. Redford, who took filmmaking very seriously, found the situation very difficult to handle. He believed that showing up dirty was not just disrespectful to those around him, but also disrespectful to the art of filmmaking. However, Bridges did not seem to care. He was comfortable with how he looked. His relaxed demeanor, which suited his character in The Big Lebowski, caused problems for directors looking for someone more serious. He often told funny stories that disrupted the serious tone on set. During important scenes, he would sometimes laugh or make a joke, leading to expensive reshoots and delays. His reputation from his past made the situation worse. Bridges had talked openly about his wild youth, including issues with doses. For directors and co-stars like Redford, these habits were cause for concern. Redford believed that movies were a special art form that required attention and respect. He thought that Jeff Bridges had a lot of talent but was wasting it by being careless. Redford and Bridges had different outlooks on life and could not get along. Even after they stopped working together, Redford still had negative feelings towards Bridges. When Redford was planning his funeral, he shocked many people by deciding that Jeff Bridges would not be allowed to attend. Redford wanted his final resting place to remain peaceful and free from chaos, and he thought having Bridges there would disrupt that peace. Number 2. Leonardo DiCaprio. In Hollywood, where appearances can be deceiving, two men represented different values. Robert Redford, a respected figure in American cinema, believed in dignity, self-control, and being true to oneself. On the other hand, Leonardo DiCaprio, a popular actor from a newer generation, was known for his talent and outspoken views on environmental and global concerns. Many saw DiCaprio as the successor to Redford's legacy, but Redford knew there was more to the story beyond the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry. From the start, Redford had a hard time accepting the part of DiCaprio that many people overlooked. Despite the media presenting Leo as a talented actor and a champion for change, Redford saw a different side of him in his personal life. He was bothered by Leo's frequent relationships with young women. Even as Leo reached 50, his pattern of dating younger women continued, with none lasting and always attracting attention. Redford was not just concerned about the age difference, but also felt Leo was being reckless and showing off his lifestyle in a way that lacked dignity. One evening in Cannes, tensions rose as Redford felt uneasy watching DiCaprio arrive with very young models. At a dinner full of directors and industry veterans, DiCaprio boldly kissed a young woman on his lap, causing conversations to stop and cameras to flash. Redford saw this as not only awkward, but also a display of indulgence that went against his values. He found DiCaprio's behavior arrogant, not charming. Redford was not only troubled by DiCaprio's relationships, but also his lifestyle during some years. There was a time when Leo partied without holding back, smoked a lot, stayed out until morning, and spent nights on private yachts with music, drinks, and many women. Redford saw him once shirtless on a yacht, dancing wildly as loud music played. Some saw it as freedom, but to Redford it was distasteful, a reckless display very different from the glamour Hollywood used to admire. Redford was most upset by the difference between what Leo said and did. While DiCaprio talked about the importance of saving the planet in public, he used private jets and yachts in his personal life, which contradicted his message. Redford saw this as hypocritical behavior. He thought Leo was only pretending to care about the environment while living in a way that went against his beliefs. Redford was concerned not only with one actor, but with the overall Hollywood culture that prioritized showiness rather than quality. He thought that real artistry needed focus and appreciation for the profession, yet he noticed that fame and extravagance overshadowed these values. When he looked at DiCaprio, he thought he represented a new era, where charisma and skill could cover up careless behavior and selfishness. The conflict between the two men was not publicly displayed through interviews or fights. Number 1. Michael Douglas. Robert Redford encountered many famous people in Hollywood, but none tested his patience like Michael Douglas did. Their past interactions made Redford very angry and unwilling to forgive. To Redford, Douglas wasn't just another actor who acted recklessly and arrogantly. He embodied qualities that Redford found intolerable, such as disrespect and lack of consideration. Michael Douglas was known for his reputation that stuck with him wherever he went. His personal life stories were just as famous as his career achievements. He openly talked about his strong desire for physical pleasure, even getting help when it got out of control. His split from his first spouse, Diana Douglas, caused even more gossip, with public revelations of affairs and behaviors that surprised many. Before the divorce, the media had already labeled him as someone who saw relationships as prizes, going from one conquest to another without any shame. These rumors became a nightmare for Redford on a memorable night. At a Hollywood party, Redford stepped away from his wife to make a quick phone call. Douglas took advantage of this moment and made inappropriate advances towards Mrs. Redford. Even though she was uncomfortable, Douglas did not seem to care. A friend intervened before things escalated further. Redford returned and immediately sensed the tension, leading to instant anger. He almost confronted Douglas right then and there, but managed to hold himself back. This night left a lasting scar in Redford's memory that he would carry with him for years. Douglas frequently said controversial things that stirred up trouble. Once he made a shocking comment about his throat cancer possibly being caused by intimate actions. This statement sparked outrage, and he faced criticism from the media for being insensitive and embarrassing his wife, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Redford believed this incident showed Douglas's failure to protect his loved ones. In Redford's opinion, a man should shield his family instead of causing them harm for attention. The tension between them not only affected their personal relationship, but also spilled over into their work environment. Douglas had a reputation for being controlling and inflexible. He always wanted to have the final decision on projects, which often annoyed his co-workers. Many whispered that he behaved like a dictator disguised as a sophisticated gentleman. Redford experienced this firsthand when their joint film project crumbled. Douglas insisted on changes to the script and refused to compromise. This disagreement resulted in the end of their collaboration and caused a public rift between them that they did not try to conceal. Years later, he still felt resentful. In his later years, Redford dedicated himself to his love for nature. He aimed to create a fund for conservation in order to leave a lasting impact. Douglas, who also cared about the environment, took advantage of the opportunity to attack Redford. At a crucial conference where Redford shared his conservation strategy, Douglas suddenly stood up and accused him of using it as a publicity stunt. The room fell silent as Redford, known for his composure, closed his lips tightly and exited the stage.